Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. It is the 25th of February 2013. Now, OPPT, we're up to part 4, courtesy notices, which also led to me understanding about invoicing. If you want to know where I'm coming from with the OPPT, have a look at part 2. This is part 4 and it's courtesy notices. Now this is my understanding of it at the moment. So once again, I'm just going to read. If you hear strange snoring sounds, it's my dog on the bed next to the laptop. Okay, so it's called a courtesy notice. It's not called a revenge notice or a I'm going to hunt you down notice. It's a courtesy notice, and I think it's very important to understand the energy that is attached to the word courtesy, because it should be exactly that. I see a lot of interactions taking place as people are talking about it, and I don't think some of them are grasping the energy that is involved with the OPPT and this movement that is taking place. It's a shift from the old paradigm or the old systems that are in place into a new way for all of us, which does involve energy. But I'll make another video about that later on, energy. Okay, a courtesy notice is basically to help educate the individual that you are sending the notice to about the former corporation, bank or government department that they used to work for and how that entity has been foreclosed. In other words, they are working for an entity that no longer legally exists. Here's some words I'm going to read from the courtesy notice guidelines, and you'll find the entire guidelines and the courtesy notice via the link below this video. So read the guidelines in full before you go filling out a courtesy notice. There is also a video down there which explains the courtesy notice in full detail to a T. Everything you could possibly want to know is explained in the video. Okay, this is a bit from the courtesy notice. The landscape of law in which we live has been radically changed by the OPPT UCC filings. The corporations and their legal systems have been stripped out, leaving universal law, common law, and UCC as the rules in play, with each human on the planet acting with unlimited personal liability as an individual. No corporate titles, legal statute systems, registration, insurance, or authoritarian hierarchy remains. It's just us. Banks and governments have been foreclosed upon, so let us consider a former employee who is now pursuing you in their capacity as an individual. They believe they still work for a prestigious bank or department. Now, excuse me, I'm going to make up a fictional character and tell you a little story about how I can understand it better. We'll call him Fred. Okay, let's say Fred works for the former company known as the Department of Transport. You get a letter from Fred in the mail saying you need to pay this fine. So what you're basically going to do is send Fred a courtesy notice which explains to him that the company he's working for has been foreclosed. And you got to keep in mind that Fred is a man. He's got a, let's say he's married and he has children. He goes to work to make money, to pay for his mortgage and to pay for his school fees and his taxes and his registrations and everything else that Fred might be doing, because he's never heard of the One People's Public Trust before. So Fred is like many of us that are stuck in a system that no longer exists. So we're trying to educate Fred here to let him know that, hey, you know, you've sent me this thing saying that I need to pay this company money, but the company doesn't exist anymore. It's a courtesy notice. So any debt that you had with the now foreclosed systems is now fictional debt. The courtesy notice is 5 pages long and basically says, I would be happy to comply with your demand. However, in UCC law, there is a filing that remains unrebutted which foreclosed upon the entity you claim to represent. You are now operating on your own personal liability. Please cease your claim on me. If you decide to pursue this claim again, any future interactions between us will be under the following conditions. And that's where you get to put in your terms and conditions if Fred wants to keep interacting with you. Terms and conditions are already provided for you in the courtesy notice. So in other words, you have explained to Fred in the courtesy notice that his former corporation is now foreclosed. You've sent him all the things he needs to be able to see the UCC filings and understand this for himself. And if he chooses to interact with you about this matter again, still seeking payment for the foreclosed company that he still thinks that he works for, he will be doing so as an individual, and it will only be under your terms and conditions, and part of those terms and conditions state that Fred would start being invoiced for his interactions with you. Now, when I learn about invoices, I thought, why would we be invoicing another person, you know, sending them a bill? Why would I send Fred a bill? And my understanding of it is because we've basically told him, look, this is the way it is now, so you're telling me otherwise, but that's not fact here. So I'm going to charge you for my time. Anyway, that's my understanding of it. But your terms and conditions is like putting a price list on the wall of a coffee shop. You are now waiting for customers. If your potential customers do not like your terms and conditions, they are free to go elsewhere. Or in Fred's case, he's free to choose another course of action. It is now your choice whether to interact with them or not. Sending the courtesy notice with their original document attached. Take a photocopy for your own records though. So attach your original document with the courtesy notice, sending it to the respondent, which is, in our case, for our story, it's Fred. It informs Fred that you do not wish unlawful harm inflicted upon you and spells out the conditions by which they may contract with you at their expense. The courtesy notice also provides you with terms and conditions and an expense list of what you will be charging them, and the link is below this video. When writing up and mailing your courtesy notice, always use the word alleged in front of any former titles or former company names. For example, in the case of our fictional character named Fred, we would send the courtesy notice to Fred, alleged Department of Transport, and the postal address. Also remember the energy that you're using here. I can't say how important energy is, and I know about energy. I've experimented on other people with energy before, and I might actually use that in another video that I make, and it works. So when you're sending your courtesy notice off to Fred or whoever it may be, if you're scared, don't do it. Because you're in that fear vibration, like, oh my God, what's he going to say? And that's exactly what you'll get back. Oh, Fred's replied, oh no. And you don't want to do that. You want to look at Fred like, look, Fred, you're another human being, and I'm here to help you try to understand this new way. This is the courtesy notice. Mwah, give it a kiss, pop it in the letterbox and say, you know, let's go and help Fred out. Type thing. That's a whole different vibration, whole different energy. Anyway, keep a record of everything you are doing, dates, names, etc. They also have little dockets on the courtesy notice that you can print out and fill out for your own little receipts, etc. Very official. Now remember that the agent, Fred, no longer represents a corporate entity. A courtesy notice should be provided to the individual, including the terms and conditions under which you will accept any future interactions. If the agent responds, if Fred responds, they have triggered a personal contract between you that indicates they have accepted your terms and conditions. The terms and conditions have already been written out for you. So basically in your courtesy notice, it's saying to Fred or whoever, show me, I'd like to see some proof that you are working for this entity, which he can't provide anyway because the entity no longer exists, or cease your claim on me. But if you want to keep interacting with me, that's going to trigger my terms and conditions, and that's what I will interact with you on, is my terms and conditions. And part of those terms and conditions is that I can start invoicing you. Okay? Okay. It took me a while to wrap my head around this. Anyway, if a second agent of the same former corporation contacts you about the same claim, repeat the process with that individual also, and send them a courtesy notice with your terms and conditions. Remember, corporations no longer exist. You are only dealing with other individuals. Now, should Fred choose to pretend their corporation still exists, we may experience different responses. No response from Fred is good news. Okay? A response from Fred is also good news. Now, energy again. So you've sent your courtesy notice off to Fred. Stay high in your energy. Think, yes, I've just sent a courtesy notice off and I'm helping another person to understand what I'm currently trying to understand right now myself with these videos. And that's a good thing. You know, you're helping somebody else. And, you know, sometimes when some people might go to the letterbox and open it up and go, oh God, there's a bill. Oh, yuck. Well, it changes that whole vibration. Now when you go to the letterbox and you open it up, you're looking for customers. I'll explain that in a minute. So if Fred does reply in that very official looking envelope, don't freak out. Hold that high vibration. Fred's responded, and this is also good news because now you have a customer. Okay? Now, let me continue. So when Fred responds, if he responds, he might not respond, which is good news as well. When and if Fred responds, it means that he has accepted your terms and conditions and you have a new customer to invoice. And that's all laid out in the courtesy notice. So if Fred, the fictional character, replies to your courtesy notice with a letter containing threats or quotes of the old law, etc., this is not evidence. So remember, your courtesy notice is asking Fred to provide evidence that his former corporation is, in fact, legal. So don't get bogged down with any other details that Fred might bring back to you. They are irrelevant. You've put it to Fred. You've said, look, Fred, this is the way it is. Provide me with evidence that your company is legal, or cease your claims on me. And that's it. And that's what you're looking for. Okay. So it either is legal or it's not. And that's what you want to find out from whoever's sending you bills from these government departments and corporations and banks with the courtesy notice to get your answer. So as stated in your terms and conditions, Fred has not given us the evidence we have requested, and he has chosen to interact with you on his own accord. The courtesy notice that you sent to Fred states that if he does interact with you about this matter, he will be basically billed for your time. This is when you send Fred his first invoice. If he replies again, still with no evidence, send him another invoice. Keep track of these invoices that you are sending Fred. Now the invoice needs to state that it should be paid within 14 days. So in other words, well, people are new to this, so you're hoping for a verified response or a withdrawal from Fred, ceasing claim on you, saying, oh no, okay, I understand, I won't go there with you anymore. Yes, my company is gone. There's no such thing. So by invoicing Fred or sending a bill to Fred, you are letting him know that this is a very real situation and he has unlimited liability and responsibility for his actions because his company no longer exists. And you must realize that you do too, because by sending the courtesy notice in the first place, you are using your full unlimited liability and responsibility. In other words, we must all, each and every one of us, take full responsibility for our actions. This is why the energy side of things is so important. Be polite, be courteous. We're helping each other to understand. So remember, it's a courtesy notice, not a revenge notice. There's a different energy in the feeling of that. If the individual, Fred, engages the services of another individual who also thinks they work for a company that hasn't been foreclosed, send an invoice to that second individual and another one to Fred. All invoices should have a waiver. The waiver provides the respondent, which is Fred, the opportunity to cease action and withdraw any and all claims. This means no payment is required. If Fred accepts the waiver, get it in writing from him that he has withdrawn all claims against you, has accepted the waiver, and basically won't be contacting you ever again about this situation. He might contact you to learn more about the OPPT, but that's a different story. And then Fred can start sending out his courtesy notices. Oh man. Anyway, the OPPT filings changed the governing law on this planet to universal law, common law, and uniform commercial code, and you, through the courtesy notice, are pointing to that fact. Send your first invoice to be paid within 14 days, just like phone companies when they send you an invoice to pay your phone bill. If they haven't paid within 14 days, send them an overdue notice, just like the phone companies do. And if they haven't paid within another 14 days, send them a final notice. Some people are saying send it within 72 hours, but I'm just going by the courtesy notice guidelines, and that's saying 14 days, so that's what I'm sticking to. I haven't sent one. I don't have a need to send one at the moment, but I still do. I'm still learning. Okay, if you send multiple invoices, you may prepare a statement that summarizes every invoice issued and its payment status. For example, due, overdue, or final notice. Also remind them UCC filings may ultimately be used for enforcement for unpaid invoices. That's a bit deep for me, that part. So before you go sending out courtesy notices, please read number 12 of the guidelines. Read the whole thing. But number 12 of the guidelines about using the energy of intent. This is very important. There is also an invoice pricing list and the courtesy notice as well. It is not recommended to hand a courtesy notice to an alleged judge in court. That would just be very embarrassing to the judge. And it's not recommended to hand a courtesy notice to an alleged police officer on the side of the road. Read the courtesy notice guidelines to find out why. Now, I've come across a website. It's Scott's website. That website gives you the tools to ask vital questions of those claiming government status. Everything on the website is free, including pre-written letters to ask your representatives who they represent. It should be fun. Detailed guidelines for creating your own courtesy notice and terms and conditions are available. I'll put that in the link below. There's also a video that I came across called What the FUQ? Frequently Unanswered Questions by Australian Governments. Brilliant. Brilliant. Scott Bartle was trying to get a car from America over to Australia, and he discovered different things along the way that the Australian government was basically making up as they went along to try and get more money out of him. And oh man, the things that he went through, fascinating video. I'll put that on the link below as well. I recommend taking a look at it. Also on the link below will be 6 case studies, so you can go and check them out. 6 case studies about, I'm guessing, the OPPT. And also OPPT templates and video instructions. Alright, now I also want to mention something that is not related to the OPPT. It is Anne Bressington. She's an Australian politician, and a while ago she put a video up and she is exposing Agenda 21. If you don't know about Agenda 21, I highly recommend you go and have a look at Anne's video. Agenda 21 has been in place for a very, very, very long time. And it's just basically how governments have been controlling the people, and it's time for change. Anyway, that will be on the link below as well. I'm still learning, but it's exciting, it really is. But I'm still learning. There's still a few little bits and pieces that I don't understand, and the people are still going for it. Oh man, they're sending courtesy notices out left, right and centre. Think of a bill, they've probably sent one out for it, but I don't know what responses they're getting back yet. I haven't found anything about that yet. But just to know that there are hundreds of thousands of people using this OPPT already. And I'm guessing that when the whole world does learn about it, then everyone will undeniably know, you know, when it does kick in, what's going to happen. How are things going to change? What's going to be, you know, it's still so many little tiny questions I have, but I'm learning. And yeah, I'm excited. I am. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope it helped. Check out the link below for everything that I've talked about. If you need more questions answered, just go to the OPPT website and there's a contact link so you can contact them directly. And that's it from me for now. So look after you, keep safe, and remember, it's all good.